All right, Michigan coaches are raving about a freshman, and it's not the freshman that you think. It's not Bryce Underwood. It's another one. It's defensive end Nate Marshall. Now, if you've been following along with Nate Marshall, he was committed to Michigan. Then he went to Auburn. Then he went back to Michigan. All this while the season's going on. You got NIL stuff as far as like, well, not NIL. You got transfer portal stuff, and I think he kind of got lost. Number one edge rusher in the nation, 5-star, Nate Marshall. So he gets here, freshman, here we go. And this is what our head coach is saying about him. And by the way, our head coach doesn't say a whole lot. You know, like, well, he does, but he's not really he's not going to over-exaggerate much. He says Nate Marshall on the defensive line, when asked about who are some younger guys, he's got some freakish pass rush ability. I feel really good about him. So, love that. Defensive end is such a defensive line, offensive line. It's just, it always comes back to that in football. So to have Nate Marshall, who we weren't going to have, then we got him back, is huge. Media, coaches, players, other guys are saying he is athletic as they come. He has a dual sport background. Here it is right here. Kind of talking about this guy. 6'4", 265 pounds, sorry. High school football, basketball. He was the number 3 player in the state of Illinois. He was rated the number 55 overall player by 24/7 Sports, and then the number 8 overall defensive lineman. So a couple places had him as the number 1 defensive end. But here's some other things about him. His long-term projection is most likely a 5 tech, but that depends on physical development. Combo of athleticism, versatility make him a high-end prospect. Has to continue developing from a technical standpoint with his hands, all that. But this guy was recruited by everybody. Michigan ends up with him. We've got to keep our eye on Nate Marshall as we start this season, and I just can't wait to see what this dude. Look at this dude. Anyone that's got like the thing up over their face, sign me up. I don't even know. So Nate Marshall is somebody that is going to fit in perfectly because let me show you our depth chart here as we kind of look at this defense. One of the things, oh boy, hold on. One of the things that I love is we're young at the defensive on the defensive side of the ball with a couple veteran players that we can count on. Rod Moore, one of those guys, TJ Guy, Zeke Berry. Those are guys that are coming back and have played some games. Chase Taylor is another one that we love. Nate Marshall is right here. Here's where I'm going at with this is that if you look, there's only a couple transfer players that we're really counting on, 2. And in the transfer portal era, my thought is that like basically your whole team is brand new every year. I know that's not the truth, but it just feels like, right? We got 18 new transfers. They're going to play. And it's just, while that, of course, is a part of the game, it's still about who can you recruit, who can you develop. And you can see that a lot of these guys are homegrown. We recruited you. Dudes like Derek Moore. There's a perfect one. Derek Moore is back, senior. That is a great player that we've developed for the last 4 years. Rod Moore, Zeke Berry. I've talked about these guys, right? So I think there's a good freshman depth pieces around here that we can develop those and see where we're at. But it's just good to see that, recruiting still matters. Guys can transfer on a drop of a hat. I get that. But, man, who can you keep around? Who can you develop? That's what it's all about. And, again, we keep talking about this. If Michigan has Bryce Underwood start, which he probably will, and you can complete and move the ball and get like one more first down than a quarter than we got last year would just make all the difference in the world. We could not throw the ball forward, and you can't throw the ball forward. It's very difficult. But when you can do one first down pass a quarter more, that extends the drive, eats clock, run the ball, loosen the defense. I mean, all we could do was run, and it's so hard to watch that when you cannot operate an offense. You have to throw the ball. So keep that in mind. Is like if you're a Michigan fan, which you probably are, you're watching this video. This is going to be such a fun year. The schedule's not overly daunting, but there's still fun, big games on the schedule. Like, you don't want a cupcake schedule, but you also don't want to just be like on the road in the biggest games ever every week either. So that's what is really exciting about this is there's going to be a lot of fun games, but there's not going to be, it's just not a lot of daunting stuff. Let me just show you this one as well, is that this article said 5 Michigan players in store for a breakout season. Jordan Marshall, we already know about that one. Like, that one doesn't surprise me. Cole Sullivan, we'll get back to him. Cam Brandt, defensive end. If there's another player on the team that's received as much publicity as Cole Sullivan, it's Cameron Brandt. The Wolverines are stacked at edge. Derek Moore, TJ Guy, Dominique Nichols, and then the guy I'm talking about, and Nate Marshall. So stacked at defensive end, loaded at the position that matters so much. Cam Brandt. I love seeing what this guy can do, and I've heard a lot about him. Oh, and by the way, we have Wink Martindale, who Martindale said, Cam Brandt. Hey, what's up? You know, what guys are set to break out? Cam Brandt. And that's the fun thing about each offseason, especially with Michigan football, is because there's so many guys, because the development part of it is so like in NFL, right? You're 4 or 5 years into the league. That jump from year 5 to 6 is like, it's not going to be that big as versus you talk about a 19-year-old going to 20 years old, really finding his stride, developing all those things. Like, you can see massive jumps that you wouldn't normally see in like the NFL. So that's why college, you never know what's that development piece. That's what Michigan was really good at there in the end of the back half of the Jim Harbaugh era was, who's this 3-star that's now a senior that is just an absolute stud, right? Who is that? Blake Corum is this. Who is this little guy? Who is this? Who is this? And it's just like, no, these guys have just developed, and that's the whole thing. So keep an eye on that one as well. And the other one I think is really cool is TJ Metcalf. So this is one of the transfers. Safety comes from Arkansas. Let's go. Let's check this dude out right here really quick. He was at Indiana, then Arkansas, and he says, look, I'm a starter. After the spring, I know for sure the coach came with me like, this is your team. It's of any of your leaders. My role, do your thing. You got a voice. You're a leader. Take over. All right. So, again, I talked about there is room for the transfer portal, and there's a play in there, and this is one of those guys. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see all of you on the next one.